being live streamed. All right.
Yeah, cool. So that we're in like Flynn. It says it's setting up, redirecting. Perfecto, perfecto. Yes, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live for our first weekly live show that we'll be doing weekly. Welcome all, and hello, Chad Gracey. How you doing, dude?
Hello. Hello, everyone. Great. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. For anybody out there listening, probably not many yet because we didn't really set this up or promote it yet because we're just figuring out the kinks. I got a bunch of new equipment on my end. So please bear with any and all mishaps. We will get them worked out in the future, I promise. And this will be cool for the fans too. They'll have I'm going to figure out a number because right now I have somebody calling in who's a fan of yours. And I just gave my personal numbers. I'm going to figure out how to get calls to come in where I don't have to do that. So
you're going to get weird calls in the middle of the night.
Exactly. Yeah. The guy calling in already sent me a couple of dick pics, which was weird. So
oh shit,
you gotta watch.
That's how we're starting off, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how's life been, man? I know you're going through a bunch of crap, and there's a bunch of stuff that came up in between our last conversation.
Yeah.
Any updates on the matter?
I'm not really allowed to talk about what's come up, but it won't materially change anything that's moving forward as far as lawsuits.
Gotcha.
Against some of my former bandmates. So
surely,
unfortunately, it will not stop anything. But they, one of them at least thinks it will. But it's okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing. I just saw a thing from Patrick Delheimer where he posted some crazy shit on Instagram about liars and all stuff. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just he's harboring the number one liar, but it's okay. It'll all come out. It's all good.
Hopefully you guys just get to talk it out like, friends do.
He doesn't want to talk to me right now, and that's fine. He doesn't want to sit down and right. have a civil discussion.
It's so strange, man. You guys been boys since little kids, and it's just nuts. But so get into reality here. Are you excited that Mr. Biden is trying to really push this $10,000 college grant to everybody?
Oh, is that the latest? I hadn't heard that one.
Well, here's my deal with it. So, okay, if that's the case, like I just think about how many people didn't go to college because they didn't want all this mountain of debt, on their plate. And then now he wants to take our tax dollars and pay that back. Like, I don't care. I went to college. It was paid for, all that stuff. But for the people who didn't go because they didn't want that mountain of debt, it's almost like a slap in their face that they're trying to do this to us.
That's absolutely, it's ridiculous. I mean, didn't the Supreme Court, didn't they strike down part of this and he's trying to bring it back? Or, I mean, I'm not exactly up to date on that. I did hear about the Supreme Court striking it down.
Yes.
So now he's trying to do it again, basically.
Exactly.
In his dictator sort of way with his this guy is a piece of work, I'll tell you.
A total piece of work. It's crazy that he's been in politics for as long as he has been. And okay, he's been on the wrong side of the coin a long time in his political career.
If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yes.
I mean,
that's crazy.
How does that pass? I don't understand how that passed anyone's muster. It's just unbelievable. And he was on with that Charlemagne the God's podcast when he said that.
Oh, really?
I believe so. Yeah. And he said to a black man, he said this. I was like, how does this fucking dude able to continue to get that vote, or anyone's vote for that matter, when he says something that's blatantly racist? I mean, it's just unbelievable. But,
I mean, how would he know?
The other guy's the racist one, but yet the dude that they vote for is saying racist shit on a daily basis. It's crazy to me.
It is just weird that like people take sound clips, like they don't like check out the full weight of anything, and they just take these sound clips and like use that as gospel. Like I'm talking to fellow Democrat friends and all that stuff, and they have like great things to say about Biden, and I'm like, well, can you tell me like what he's done for us as a country and all that stuff? And they don't have really anything to say for it except that Trump's an asshole. He's a womanizer.
That's all they ever go to. That's all they ever have to go to. That's fine. And it's just unbelievable. It drives me crazy.
How do we live in a world like that? It's strange to me.
I mean, Trump's not perfect. I know.
No.
I don't like to hear him. I don't really like to hear him speak. He's
Right.
probably a narcissist. He's definitely an egomaniac. All those things, but like when he came into office, he got some stuff done that was advantageous to all of us.
Absolutely.
And Biden has made it all worse.
Well, let me get into real conspiracy theory here where okay, so now we're kind of well aware that COVID-19 was from the lab in China. Like we could say that now.
Yep. Well, we're allowed. Yeah, you're allowed to say it now.
We're allowed to
The
say that.
fact checkers aren't going to censor you now.
Right. And we can say that it was a mistake that happened. But when I put on my tinfoil hat and I hear some of these things that, Fauci was majorly part of funding that place and completely against Trump. So part of me is hearing like that this shit was released on purpose to get Trump out of office. Now that's totally tinfoil, but I don't know, dude.
I mean, listen, so gain of function research there was a moratorium put on gain of function research in 2014 by Obama. That's when it was shipped to the Wuhan lab. NIH was in charge of it. Fauci was funded it all. And they continued gain of function research there. This Fauci sits in front of Congress and Senate saying it's not gain of function research. It's like, wow, just blatantly lying. Right. And so, yeah, it came out of the lab. I read this whole article in probably March or April of 2020 explaining all this. And they're still going, nope, you can't say it came out of the lab. That's, that's conspiracy theory. I was like, okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that they had, the main thing that they had to attack Trump on was the economy. It was booming, if you all remember.
Oh, yeah.
And so here comes COVID, lockdowns, destroys businesses, destroys people's lives, like puts everyone out of work. Except for essential workers, whatever those were at that point.
Right.
And the government now is telling who you can work and you can't work, and you can have your business open and you can have your business open. It's like totalitarian, like ridiculousness on a level that's never been seen.
Who the hell knew that governors had that type of power where they could say this business is okay to work, this business is not? It was like, I had no idea.
Yeah, we all found out quickly, didn't we?
Yeah. So like a mom and pop store like Target was not allowed to be open, but Target was, which is just crazy.
Exactly. The place where more people would be in a central location was allowed to be open, but the smaller places where people could actually, social distance, which is horse shit too.
Right.
Turns out, as we all fucking know anyway, but like, so those small places where less people would be in contact with each other were closed, but the major places where everyone would go to, they were open. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And you live in Cali where you guys almost had it the worst. Like your governor was going nuts with no outdoor dining for a long
time. Yeah. I was in Orange County, so thank God, like most businesses and the Orange County sheriff was like, I'm not enforcing mask mandates. I'm not enforcing closing down beaches. He's like, I'm not doing that. Thank God. Like Laguna Beach is, one of the, more liberal parts of Orange County. They shut down their beaches, but all the state beaches and everything we could go to them. There were businesses in San Clemente that were open the whole time. Like a couple bars and restaurants. They were like, fuck it, we're not closing.
Well, the creepiest part, I guess, would be after like they realized like outdoor dining was okay, and like the sun kind of stopped the spread a bit. Like they still were like, no, you can't do it.
Oh, it's insanity. It's just didn't make none of it made sense. None of it made sense. I mean, I read several virology books back in the 90s, and these are like, one was called the Hot Zone, and it's about Ebola breakout and when they discovered that in Zaire, and which is now what, Democratic Republic of Congo anyway. So anyway, these were like 90% mortality rate diseases. Right. And they had them in special labs, level 4, I think it's level 4 virology labs. Sorry. And you have to wear like this full overpressured suit to protect yourself from a virus.
Right.
And now they're like, put this little flimsy mask on your face and you're saving people. I'm like, you are, it was just insanity the whole time. Like, these masks don't do anything. They
No.
don't save you. They don't stop you from stop you from giving it to somebody. They don't stop you from getting it. It's just ridiculous.
Like what it definitely does is it makes it cool for criminals to kind of go anonymously through the world and block for their face and do crimes, and then you don't know who the fuck that is.
Absolutely.
I'm watching the other day, it was like live footage of like some nice store like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci store in LA.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
They were
Smash
just
and grabs are going nuts.
yeah.
It's insane. It's
And,
insane. They're
and
going to the malls. They're going in all the stores. They're going in Beverly Hills. They just go loot the place.
well, yeah,
And
especially when God, I'm sorry.
well, one of them, they had masks on. They're all dressed in black with masks on. But two, you can steal up to $950 per store in California per person, and there's nothing done to you. Nothing.
It's nuts, dude.
And it's supposed to be some law to bring down the prison population, but this is what you get: chaos and mayhem.
Absolutely.
And at some point you just think, is it on purpose? Like, are we trying to make our cities just destroy all of our cities and make it lawless? And then comes along and defund the police. Like, oh yeah, that sounds like a freaking brilliant idea. Let's embolden the criminals and shut down the police.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, because society is not gonna, the criminals are not gonna take advantage of that, and society's just gonna be fine. It's all good.
I'm not even a criminal, and I'm almost tempted to go steal like $930 worth of shit because they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, my son was talking to me the other day. I was like, yeah, Phineas, you literally could walk in that Bright Ed right there and just go take whatever you want
and be out
and walk out, and no one's going to do anything to you.
And if
they might say something to you, but you just run out and that's it. That they're not going to call the cops, nothing. I'm like, I don't want you to do that because we are law-abiding citizens, but you could.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, they make it to where if a store employee gets involved, that they're going to actually get in trouble for it.
Oh, California was going to either pass a law, or they did pass a law. Well, it makes it illegal for someone at the store to try to get involved try to stop the person from stealing.
Insane, man. Insane.
We live in fucking cloud world. It's just nuts.
Backwards world is what I like to say.
And now they have no cash bail in all these cities, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's the logic behind any of this? If there is any. I don't think there is any, but
right. And not a it's so weird to see Rudy Giuliani's fall from grace in the public's eye or perception, only since he joined Trump as his lawyer.
By design, but yeah.
I mean, the guy, what he did for crime in New York City during his tenure as the mayor over there was like insane. Like, he brought it way down. People were, they weren't doing this shit that has going on right now.
Oh yeah, I remember going there in early '90s before he was mayor, and you didn't want to go anywhere near Times Square. It was fucking seedy and scary as shit.
Right.
And then when he took over, it was like you could walk anywhere in that city and just feel totally safe.
Well, you have to remember this, especially playing at CBGB. Like 42nd Street was Hooker Central.
Yeah.
Now it's like Disneyland. I mean.
Right. Yeah.
It was for a little bit. Now it's, starting to go the other way, but it's just crazy the fall from grace that guy took just by joining and being Trump's lawyer.
Yeah. It's all by design. Like the media, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they don't want this guy anywhere near them because he's going to expose them all.
Exactly.
You can call that conspiracy or not. I don't give a shit, but look at what they're doing. Just look at what they're doing. Just because they don't like him. No. You don't go after someone like this just because you don't like them. You are scared of them.
Exactly. And we as the people, I do not condone or whatever January 6th, but it was our way of saying, like, we're not putting up with this shit. How fucking dare you steal an election? Excuse me. And it was like our way of trying to stop that. Did they go too far? I don't know, but I want to say no, they didn't, because we now have a president that technically was not voted in. I know that's taboo to say, but
Right.
I don't.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, it's yeah. January 6th is a fucking scam too. It's bullshit. I mean,
Right.
there's obviously feds dressed as Trump supporters in there, ready to to egg everybody on to go into the Capitol so they could have this whole happen. Pelosi would not take. I think Trump wanted like 20,000 National Guard to come to the Capitol, and Pelosi's like, no, we don't need that.
Yet it's his fault.
Yeah, let it all happen, and then blame it on him. And now you can chart and indict him for it. It's like, come on, man, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just strange to be part of and watch and just see how all the deception's going on, like right in front of our eyes. And there's really nothing that we could do about it except get on and talk about it like this. Thank God that we still have freedom of speech, which they're surely
trying to take that away too. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So good news for us. I just heard that Spotify is spending like billions of dollars on podcasts. So if you're out there, Spotify, come talk to us.
There you go. Yeah. On our first episode, just bring us on in the Spotify. I'd love it.
Well, did you hear they offered I think Meghan and Prince Harry $20 million to, do their podcast, and they realized like after the show one, they had nothing important or cool to say, and they like pulled the show and like took the money back.
That poor guy, his life is being destroyed before our eyes by a raving narcissist, and he doesn't know it. So if anyone has been in a narcissistic relationship, they can see exactly what this woman is doing to him. It's crazy. And this poor son of a bitch, he's gonna realize it one day, just like many do, where the lights come on in the room, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Holy shit. And it's going to be crazy. And this poor guy's like giving up his royal life. His family hates him. It's just nuts. Well, and they have nothing important to say. I mean, it's just like, who cares? Who cares? Right. We don't care about you in America. Like, stop.
Yeah. I didn't realize that England was still kind of so racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard that the royal family was very perturbed that he was with a black woman. And then the sentiment kind of went down to the people of the country as well. Like, they had so much shit to say about her.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally against that. I mean, I would never look at her and say she's black, but whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, me either.
But if that did indeed go on, that's bullshit. I don't like that at all. I'm not into UK politics or UK royal like goings on. So yeah, definitely. If there was some racist stuff going on, nah.
So I mean,
so not down.
Yeah, I don't know much about it either because, like you said, I'm not big into UK politics. I had just watched something on Netflix that Meghan and him put out, but it was just showing that like the Queen was not down with it, like ruining the bloodline, and it's just kind of weird that they have like, they still support this royal family, like they have mansions all over the place, and like
the whole thing is fucking strange. Absolutely.
It's not like they do anything.
Right. Well, the Queen does have one power to, she can what's it called? She can disperse Parliament, and she has to call Parliament to into session, I guess, is one of her actual duties.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it's all figurehead stuff.
Duty.
Duties.
Had her duties. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess it's the king now. So King Charles does that now.
Yeah, King Charles. So she was, I think, the longest running figure in that family ever or something.
I think she's the longest serving matriarch of England.
But my God, to see pictures of her when she was younger to like when she was older, I hope I don't age like that, man. She was hot, and then she looked like my grandmother. So
that's what happens.
I guess it's so weird, man.
We're all gonna go there somehow.
So, I mean, I gotta say that for some reason, men, and don't hate me, women, but men do age better than women naturally. It seems.
Yeah.
unless you're Elizabeth Hurley. That chick is, my God.
Yeah, there's a few notable exceptions out there, man. Yeah.
Jane Fonda.
Yes.
How old is she? She's like 80, and I would still.
Yes, something like that. Christy Brinkley looks really good still. I don't know. There's a
Yes.
few that are. Cindy
Julie
Crawford
Walters.
still looks amazing. She's, I think she's probably in her late 50s, early 60s.
So I
There's
guess
some.
you got to be a supermodel then to.
Well, you got to have money for sure.
Yes. When you
Yes.
wash your face in avian water or whatever.
You can put what is it? Baby foreskin stem cells on your face, and
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. You gotta and you inject the blood of younger people as well.
apparently they do that too. I don't know about that one, but
Well,
we can go way into conspiracy theory on that.
because you don't know, like if they said back in the day, which they did, that there's an island with little kids on it that are being banged by crazy politicians and actors, you'd be like, get the fuck out of here. No. And then Epstein's Island.
Oh yeah, and it was real. Hello.
And it was real.
And now he's dead. He didn't get killed.
Dead. And what is her name? Ghislaine?
Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, I think it's Ghislaine or something like that. But yeah, she went to trial. There's still no list available of the clients.
Right.
Through the trial. Like, how's that possible?
Right.
There's flight logs where you can see a lot of names that you would recognize.
Yes. And some on there way more than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was a huge conspiracy theory that this was happening. And guess what? Boom. There's Epstein. I just saw Andrew Tate, I see stuff of his on Instagram here and there, but he was going off about, he's like the elites and the left, or whatever you want to call it, the deep state, they don't even care anymore. They'll just kill somebody right in front of our eyes, and we won't believe, most people won't believe that he was just killed by them. They just took him out, just killed him in prison, but no, he committed suicide.
And that freaking doctor who does like all the autopsies, he was like big on HBO doing them.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, impossible, dude. The strangulation marks around the neck and a bone was broke. That couldn't happen. Like, he got deep into it, proving like no suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear about everything that failed. The one guard was off, somehow the camera to that video was off, like everything perfectly to not know exactly what happened.
Right.
But to say that he
in a maximum security federal prison. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
But we're buying it. People are buying it and they believe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the mainstream media never even ventures into saying maybe it was kind of wrong. Maybe Fox had that Dr. Biden on that was talking about how, possibly this guy wasn't suicide. But like the other mainstream media outlets, they won't even touch it. They won't even investigate it. They won't look at it. They won't even talk about it. Epstein committed suicide. Boom, that's it. And that's how you sell lies to the public. You just say it didn't happen.
Yeah,
didn't happen. There's no evidence. It's the same thing with the election. No evidence. There's no evidence. We don't have any evidence. It didn't happen. And if you talk about it, you're committing treason, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they were canceling people's access to money and their bank accounts and stuff like that. Like, they were really doing some shady shit to people who were, talking about what possibly could have happened.
Yeah.
So that's just a thing that it can be done. Like, we don't think because we're in such a the freest society there is in the world that shit happens, but it was proven that it did.
It's happening more and more.
Yeah. And
we're losing our free society.
Yeah.
In my view.
With Elon Musk buying Twitter and him releasing those Twitter files, that's pretty. And people, oh no, he's lying. He's why?
Exactly. There again. Yeah. He releases it all. It's all evidence from, all actual evidence. And no, he's lying. He's lying. They're all lying. They made it all up. It's like, wow. It's like people don't want to see reality. They don't want to know what reality is. They just want to live their lives, go, nothing's going on, with blinders.
You're right.
And eventually they're going to come for you somehow.
Exactly.
You're not going to be immune because you voted for Biden or because you didn't like Trump and you hated him. Like, you're not going to be immune when this country falls and your freedoms go away. You're not going to be immune from it.
Exactly. Bruce Springsteen said it the best. He said, blind faith in your leaders will get you killed. And
right.
I fucking believe that 100%.
This is what I don't understand about music and musicians and rock musicians. Like, rock and roll was counterculture and like against big government and all this shit.
Right.
And now it's like everyone's for it. Yeah. Get the vax. Yeah. Like, yeah, they vote Democrat. They get the vax, or like, they defend that whole position of the mainstream media. It's like, no. No.
Right.
We're supposed to be counterculture.
Yes.
We're supposed to be against all that stuff. And whether you call it conservative or not, it's like you're supposed to be like punk rock, rock and roll, fuck the government. Let's fucking sing songs about it. But now it's like, no, I'll just do whatever they tell me. Hi, go get your vaccine to come to my show.
Exactly.
Like, come on, man.
Well, that was the strangest thing. Like, now the fact that people are still taking booster shots and shit is amazing to me. Like, I'm just like, really? After all the evidence has come out where like 20-year-olds are getting strokes or having.
Well, the evidence come out to us because we find it from different channels. The mainstream media will not. They don't talk about that.
That's true.
They do not talk about that.
That is true.
And they don't ever report on. They may say, certain people died or someone collapsed, but they'll never go venture into, well, maybe the vax caused it. Are they vaccinated? Nope. Never talk about it.
So strange. And like, I get it because it's brought to you by Pfizer, or it's brought to you by, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, every mainstream media outlet, including Fox, all of them their biggest advertiser is Big Pharma.
Right.
And they say, we're the only, one of 2 countries in the world that allow this?
Yeah, I forget what the other one is, but that's
New Zealand. I don't know why there, but anyway, it's like our whole economy and our whole information dissemination system is controlled by Big Pharma.
Right.
At this point.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because
maybe not the whole economy, but it's a large part of it. But it's the way we get information and who disseminates it is controlled by Big Pharma.
Right.
Except for podcasts and like stuff like this, which is becoming more of the way people are getting information.
Thank God.
Places like, podcasts and online stuff, but like mainstream media is losing control. They know it, but they still have a very influential over the mass population.
I mean, like, even like, I forget, like, and again, I do check out all the media outlets, but it is crazy. I mean, when Fox News says fair and balanced, okay, yes, but they do, of course, lean to the right, but they will at least report, shit on the right and shit on the left. Yes, right, but they're still going to give you the information. Whereas CNN, NBC, they will not say a bad word about the left at all. And if there's anything, and it's just strange that people would want to be, like that lied to and okay with it. Like, I just, as a free thinking individual, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I just saw a video of some reporter on, I think was it CBS or CNBC, whatever. They're having a little panel discussing, Hunter Biden. And she's like, there's absolutely no evidence linking Hunter Biden to Joe Biden and him having anything to do with it. It's like,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. That's going to be the narrative of the mainstream. Hunter Biden did a bunch of fucked up shit, but like Biden wasn't connected anyway.
Right.
Yeah. He wasn't on any phone calls. He wasn't sitting beside his father when Hunter Biden was on WhatsApp texting that Chinese official saying, you better do this right now, or my father's going to be, he's sitting right here beside me. He's going to be angry. But Joe, I guess, he probably didn't hear what he was talking about, didn't know what he was talking about. So there's no evidence.
No evidence. Just thousands of emails and all that shit, but no evidence.
No. 5,400 emails under 3 aliases. No evidence. You're good.
I guess if you say it as much as you do, then it becomes gospel at that point.
Well, exactly. You tell a lie over and over and over again, people believe it. Absolutely.
Don Jr., you're damn sure bet that they would have found some evidence leaking it to President Trump for sure.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yep. No doubt. And it'll be covered wall to wall 24/7 on all mainstream media.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his Russia collusion that was complete bullshit was all over 24/7. That's all you heard. And then
the impeachments, all the bullshit, all these indictments, it's all 24/7. And it's all designed. It's all designed to keep Biden in office.
I don't understand how people don't just look at that Russia collusion thing, because that was at least, briefly mentioned. Okay, on the other networks, like, okay, there was nothing there, but like briefly, you know what I'm saying?
Briefly, like, and then just not talked about again.
Never spoken about again. Exactly.
Right. Of course. They're not gonna make some big deal about apologizing that they friggin' lied for 4 years to you.
It's crazy.
Why would they?
What do we do as a society? Just blind eye and let it go down? Like, I don't understand, because normally you would say, okay, we'll vote these people out and whatever, but it doesn't seem like we could do that.
No, you've reached a point where, or seem to have reached a point where they can do whatever they want. And no one seems to like change their votes because of it. I mean, like these Democrat run cities.
Oh God.
All going to shit. And they keep voting for Democrats. I mean, in Chicago, for instance, they got out Mayor Lori Lightfoot. They figured out she was crap, but they voted in someone who's like worse than her.
Yeah. This guy is blaming the automotive thefts on the automotive companies.
Exactly. What? It's like they will do everything not to actually blame the criminals, and that's freaking nuts. It just drives you crazy.
It's not to do with the way you're policing. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the people in your city, but it's the automotive manufacturers.
It's the manufacturer's problem that the cars are getting stolen so often.
It's wacky.
Yeah, sounds logical. Sounds reasonable.
I mean, I might need to, if I cared, I'd probably try and get my ducks in a row and run for office. But I sure, once I did and got in, I would fall in line and become just a part of the wheel and the cog, because I don't think you can go against it.
It's pretty difficult. I mean, there's a massively ingrained bureaucracy in all these governments.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to go against.
And where are these billions of dollars coming from that we're giving Ukraine? Like, how come we can't take that and fix up like parts of the Bronx or Camden, New Jersey?
Oh, no, because it's America last at this point. For sure, it's America last. It's just so evident. I mean, look what happens in Hawaii. $700 for those families, and we can even go into what all the crazy shit that's happening around that. But like, here's $700. The next day, Ukraine gets $24 billion.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks. Yeah, and then he shows up, falls asleep at the memorial service, tries to compare himself to them by saying, I had a kitchen fire and almost lost a cat.
Wow.
It's like, dude, you want to punch him in the fucking face. Like, are you serious? How can you be how can you be that obtuse about everything? It's just, and people are just like, oh no, it's just Joe, he's cool, man, we like him, we'll vote for him again.
Well, one of the things I found interesting was after he pulled out of Afghanistan, and then like the reporters were talking about like the deaths and stuff that happened because of that, and all our vehicles stuff left there, and he goes, dude, he's like, that was 4 days ago, like what are you bringing that up for? Like, okay, so it was 4 days ago that all this happened. That's old news. Like, we shouldn't ask you about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's past. Wasn't my fault. It was Trump's fault.
Exactly.
Previous administration, they set this up. Oh, okay. Well, they told you to shut down Bagram and the largest military base there. Just shut that down before you pull out. That makes sense.
Like we were in the George W. Bush era, and I was like, oh my God, can't wait to get another president. Like, now I'm begging for him to come back after this fucking maniac that we have.
I'll take anybody except Kamala Harris at this point.
Oh God, yeah, she's fucking on another level of nuts. Just some of her stuff as like, as far as prosecuting innocent people and like putting them in jail for crimes that they didn't commit. Like,
again, she prosecuted probably thousands of black men for marijuana offenses, put them in jail, and then goes on the radio and jokes about smoking marijuana. It's like, wow. And people vote for her. Well, people didn't really vote for her. She's unique. Like, she's one of the least. She was like barely 1% in the primary.
Really?
Oh yeah, when she was running in the Democratic primary for president, yeah, she was like barely even registering on the scale of being, people approving of her. The next thing you know, she's vice president, heartbeat away from the presidency because of her skin color and that she's female.
Biden said before he picked her that he wanted a black woman as his running mate. So it's like
I would contend that there are clearly more qualified black women,
right,
to be vice president than Kamala Harris.
Right, but
there has to be.
The fact that you make that part of it, it shouldn't be. How about the most qualified person is your running mate, not the most, not a black woman. How about the most qualified person, period?
Mm-hmm. It's insane.
And if that happens to be a black woman, then it's a black woman. Great. But the fact that you're trying to pick a woman and just because she's black, like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense. Makes sense to, wokeism, and
I guess
the whole, we have to, everyone has to be, we have to have integration in all parts of society. It's like, sometimes, that's not the way to hire people. Find the most qualified.
Exactly.
Despite their skin color or their race or religion or their gender.
Right.
And, they're the one of two genders, but yeah.
Now, he would have been cool if he wanted the first transgender black woman to be his running mate. Then that would have really.
He could be first transgender, gay, black woman.
Right. Then
Muslim.
All the bases.
Then we cover them all right there. It'd be great.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. So, I mean, I'm hearing even from hardcore Democrats that they're worried about this 2024 election because the guy could barely speak, and I don't care. Like I said, I'm a registered Democrat because I did register when I was 18 and just able to vote. And that was where my
You can change it, but that's okay.
Yeah, but I don't vote in primaries anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather them think I'm over here when I'm over there.
Right. Well, that's fine. Yeah.
But I guess my point is that I don't vote based on party at all. I vote based on person. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I generally wouldn't either. I'd vote based on people. Yeah.
And
what they're talking about. Most of them never do anything what they say they're going to do, but it's a whole different subject. But yeah, I mean, I'm not strictly Republican. I'll vote for anybody that's good for the job.
Right, which is the way it should be. But if you talk to a lot of people, they're just like, no, I strictly vote with my party. And that's a scary thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, whatever floats your boat. That's the thing. Like, there should be an IQ test, I think, if you're voting. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah.
Well, the Democrats, they want everybody to be able to vote. No non-U.S. citizens, et cetera, et cetera. I love when they talk about like voter ID laws and stuff and how they're having to have someone present an ID to vote is racist somehow. It's like,
how?
So as liberals, you think, like, for instance, black people are incapable of getting an ID. They're too stupid to figure out how to get an ID. That's their stance on that. They either don't have the resources, cannot get to the DMV, or are too stupid to get online to figure out how to get an ID. That's basically what they say without saying that.
Well, now when I go to vote, they somehow check my signature against some signature that they have on file of me. Do they do that in California?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I'm wondering where they got that from. I almost think they got it from my signature from my license. Because
maybe that's possible. Yeah. Right.
It's just strange. Like, anybody could go in and vote.
Also, if you have a dead person's old license, a dead person can vote.
Right.
And guess who they usually vote for? Dead people. Yeah. There's no evidence though, so I'm just bullshitting.
Right. We're just it's just conjecture at this point. I do wonder when they're going to start mailing out ballots to just the whole world to vote for our president.
Yeah, it was funny last time we were talking about this, and I talked about how my mom got a ballot from my father who was dead who had passed away.
Oh yeah.
And somebody on one of the Friends Alliance forums was like, "How did you let your mother commit voter fraud?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, she didn't send it in. She just got it in the mail for my father, who was dead for probably 4 or 5 years. How's that happen?" And then she called the election office or whatever, and they're like, "We don't know how that happened. We have no idea." Like, oh, so that just happened to my mother personally. That didn't happen to anyone else. And then those piece of shit people probably didn't sign it and send it in.
Right. I wish that they could go through, like, with that right there, with just the fact that it went, your father was sent one. How can they not go backtrack? Like, I'm sure that's what Trump wanted, is them to go and backtrack and see, well, how many of these were sent to people who have been dead for years? Like, and there's one example that we know of, but there's probably, and I'm saying probably, but there's thousands of more that we don't know about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, he was.
But no one's allowed to investigate it or talk about it or ask about it. Nope. Can't even bring it up. There's no evidence.
It's America.
Yeah, well, here we are.
Exactly. Some people are moving to Italy and stuff like that. Like, I was reading this one couple bought like a house in Italy for like $45,000, like a beautiful 3-bedroom house. They had to make a second bathroom because most of the houses over there only made one bathroom, so they turned one of the bedrooms into a bathroom, whatever. But people are getting sick of it, and they're just, rather than dealing with it here, they're just like, fuck it, and going elsewhere, which I guess is a way to deal with it. But
well,
I don't know this way.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you can move away from it, but from America, but it's like, if America goes down, the whole world's going to go be fucked.
Right.
So do you want to abandon it and just say, oh, someone else will deal with it? It's like, I guess my point was, I wouldn't leave here because I'm going to continue to vote and like voice my opinion.
Sure.
And put it out there. But like, just leaving it and going, oh, I'm moving to Italy. It's like, well, if America goes down, like the way it looks like they're trying to make it happen,
yeah,
like the whole world is jacked.
Right. Because who's next on there? Oh, it looks like we have a caller. Hold on one second here.
Hey.
Let me see if I could do this properly. Hello,
first caller.
You're there. All right, hold on a minute, buddy. Let me switch it to, where is that? Hold on a second, bud. Like I said, I'm working out the kinks here, so don't mind it. Let me see if we can get the caller up on here. There we go. And caller, are you there?
I am.
All right, what's going on? Where you calling from?
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical. Hold on. See, I knew it would be. Hold on one second, caller. All right, can you hear us? No.
I heard him for a second.
For a second, yeah. Let me see this. Yo, you there? All right, let me try something else. Hold on one second. Sorry, audience. Are you there, caller? Why is that not coming through? Hello? Try it now. All right, well, caller, try calling me back. I'm going to hang up, call back. Let me see if that works.
Hey, first show, technical
First show, exactly. But that's a lovely gentleman named Mitch Collins. For those people out there on the Fans of Live website, you might know him. He does a lot of covers of Chad's band, and he's actually pretty good. He actually won some contest back in the day where he got a lot guitar signed by you guys and things of that nature.
I remember Mitch.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. So I figured we'll have him be the first caller on the show. And like I said, eventually I'll have a number for everybody to call in. He's just calling in on my personal number. So that's why there's going to be one caller for this show, for now. But eventually I'll figure out how to get a number out to you guys that isn't my personal one, and then yeah. So hopefully it goes through now and he can call back. But anywho, back to it. So you said something earlier where in the 90s you were reading a virology book, and I'm like, really? A drummer for a fucking huge band was actually doing some research like that? That's pretty dope. What got you into that?
I don't know. It's just stuff that interests me. I'll just start to look, figure out and stuff. I was when I was in high school, I was very into medicine,
Right.
and I may have been a doctor if I didn't do the band.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I was definitely interested in medicine, medical field, and so I guess that's just that whole when I heard about Ebola as a
Right.
disease, I was like, what the F is that? And like, Jesus Christ, I gotta find out about this thing. It kills 95% of its, people that are infected. And I found this book called, I think it's by a guy named Richard Preston. It was called Hot Zone.
Ah.
It was about the first major Ebola breakout that they identified Ebola. They still don't, I think even to this day, still don't know what host Ebola comes from.
Is it?
So it
Really?
just, it comes out, burns through the population. Tons of people get it, tons of people die from it, and but they don't know where it comes from.
Jesus. I think we have him back. Mitch, are you there? Okay. So I'm going to say that this is not working, right, Mitch?
Damn it, Mitch. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, we apologize, dude. I'll get this worked out next time. We had him for a second. I don't know why it's not working. Mitch, I apologize, dude. If you could hear me and us, dude, it's not coming through on the board. So I apologize, dude, but we will get to you next time. I promise you will be the first caller that I figure when we figure this out. So my apologies to you. Let me try this and unmute. Maybe. Mitch, you there? Mitch, hello. Mitch. No. All right. So I'm not going to bore the audience with that. I do apologize, Mitch. We will get to you next time. My bad. But yeah, that was our first caller. What'd you guys think?
Hey, thank you, Mitch. Sorry.
Sorry, Charlie.
We'll get this worked out.
Totally.
We need a Jamie. Where's Jamie? Jamie,
Totally
get Mitch on the line.
Our last Jamie didn't work out that well either. But yeah, back to the regularly scheduled programming. So let me ask you this. Have you watched anything cool? Like what's on Mr. Gracey's, he says he kept losing the call. What's on Mr. Gracey's watch list? Have you watched anything cool on Netflix lately?
Presently, I'm watching Painkiller on Netflix about Oxycontin.
Is this a documentary or is it a show?
It's a dramatized version of real events.
Gotcha.
So it's about what the hell is the last name? Shadler family who invented OxyContin, and they what happened with OxyContin. Millions of people got, or not millions, hundreds of thousands of people got addicted to it. It's basically heroin with a time release coating, and so hundreds of thousands of people got addicted to it and died, and there's mayhem going on. Everyone remembers the OxyContin crisis.
Yeah.
So this family invented it, and it's called Purdue Pharmaceuticals. I think it was the name of the company.
Sackler family, I think.
Sackler, yes. Thank you, Sackler, yes. So this is about how they basically eventually got them to pay. Well, I basically held them liable and had them pay a huge. Well, I guess they were about to pay like a $6 billion fine, but now I just heard that some judge was like, no, you're not getting off the hook that easily for this.
Good.
Because they have like $15 billion or something in their fortune. But it's done by Peter Berg, who is a great director. He did oh man, what's that movie? Shit. The movie about the Navy SEALs in Afghanistan. Mark Wahlberg was in it, Marcus Luttrell, and can't think of the name right now. But Peter Berg's a great director, and he was just on Joe Rogan talking about Painkiller.
Oh, sweet. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's really good.
So they were coming up with crazy shit during that time. They were saying like, if your patient seems addicted, it's called pseudo addiction, and you just need to prescribe them more.
Right. Yeah, they were doing all well, and everyone was incentivized to give higher and higher doses. So it tracks some of the pharmaceutical sales ladies, beautiful young women who are going to the doctor's offices and saying, here's this great OxyContin. It's totally safe. Only 1% of the people that take it will get addicted or could get addicted. And but what you need to do is you need to up your dosages, and they will make more money. And some doctors were pushing back on it, and some doctors weren't, because they had the beautiful young lady shoving all this stuff in their face, and they're like, oh yeah. And then they were, the doctors were taken to like beautiful vacations and all kinds of incentives were given out. So it's very interesting. Again, another the evil big pharma who likes to just sell drugs. They don't give a shit what happens to the people, as
right.
And they basically build in the fact that they're going to get sued into all these drugs.
Right.
Except for vaccines, which they have complete immunity from prosecution for. Every vaccine.
Well, now here's the funny thing with that. So now they can't get sued for the vaccine and problems that come along with it, but companies that were forcing their employees to take it and firing them, now they could be held liable for that, which I heard some people are actually going after.
Good. They should.
100%.
Yeah.
But it sucks that it stops at that company and doesn't really go after the problem.
No, it was the U.S. government did that in 1986. Yeah.
Which is wacky to wacky. Like, I'm all for, the vaccines that we get as kids, even though there are some stigmas around those as well. But I mean, if it has stopped, millions of deaths and, has caused, thousands of issues, then I mean, those numbers kind of make sense.
A lot of the diseases they vaccinate for now were all the mortality rates were greatly reduced because of sanitation. Okay. So mumps, rubella, stuff like that, measles,
right,
chicken pox. They vaccinate for chicken pox. Don't you remember going like, hey, Tommy down the street has chicken pox. Send him over. Boom, you go to the house, you get chicken pox. You have lifelong immunity.
Exactly. Yes, I do.
Now you get the vaccine, you don't have lifelong immunity. You can get it again.
You can get shingles or some shit. You can get
something. Well, shingles you get from the chickenpox virus. It still lives in your system and kind of basically, as far as I understand it kind of lives in your spine. And when you get shingles, they'll come out kind of like the nerves. They'll follow the nerve path out of your spine and into your body and stuff. But yeah, I got shingles one time when I was like 31. Wow, and what's that?
Is it painful?
Mine were not. They're a little itchy, but it wasn't too bad. I think it's worse the older you are if you get them. So anyway, I guess back to my point is, so it's the things that they vaccinate kids for with this 79 shot schedule are, tetanus. Yeah, you can die from tetanus. Okay, great. Get a tetanus vaccine. Absolutely.
Right.
Chickenpox, measles, mumps, rubella. But you're going to be okay.
Right.
Just get it.
But
go to the doctors.
You
make sure you're not bathing in shit. You're gonna be fine.
Right. But I think to go to public school, you have to have vaccines
in certain states, especially in California. Yeah.
So it is state by state.
It's state by state. Yeah.
Got you.
Yep. You can do some states. You can do personal exemption to say I don't want to do it. California used to be that way. You could do personal and religious exemptions, but now they don't care. You have no exemption unless you get an exemption if your child was injured by a vaccine.
Oh, so it has to have caused an issue to with,
and then you can get an exemption.
Talk about a dumbass rule, man.
Exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah. So your kid lost his leg, dude. Now he don't have to get it, but your other kid who is fine does.
Well, they don't lose legs. They have autoimmune diseases.
Right.
Other mental problems that you're not allowed to talk about because vaccines don't cause that. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
dive in.
You froze on my end.
I guess if we did like a controlled group where some group got it, some group didn't, they could see what this could possibly cause in the grand scheme of things. it can't be nothing, you know?
You froze a little bit. What were you talking about?
Well, I'm saying, so it's like, in other words, we've been taking these vaccines for so long now that they have to have some sort of idea of how it affects people. Now, is it affecting, like I said, to where it's saving millions, but, harming thousands? Then, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's okay. But if it's really not, saving that many people, and yet some people are catching some autoimmune shit or something like that, like, we really got to start and take a hard look and say, okay, well, maybe the way we've been doing things is not the right way.
Well, listen, it's a huge cash cow for the big pharma.
Right.
You just said, is it harming less people or killing less people than it's saving? I would contend that it's not saving a whole lot of people, because you would survive these illnesses, most of these illnesses anyway. So
right.
In my humble opinion, it's injuring and killing more people than it's actually saving.
Especially, like you said, if it was like a sanitation thing, like back in the day, they used to say, like, circumcision, people who weren't circumcised, like, had dirty dicks and all this stuff, and could have, like, diseases.
Dirty dicks.
Yeah, dirty dicks. But it's because they weren't, being able to clean properly.
Right.
I mean, happy that my parents got me circumcised. I'm not against it. But I do wonder, like, hey, did you cut off something that maybe is a little feel good for me? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I do know a lot.
I'm anti-schmeg, so I'm good with being cut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same. But I mean, is it because of, is it because of the stigma? I know a lot of chicks who will not be with a dude who is not circumcised. They don't like the look. They don't like the fucking all that stuff to it.
Yeah.
But is that just we were trained as a society, or
I think so. I mean,
yeah. Like, do they do this? Is this like an American thing and like a Jewish thing, or like is circumcision kind of standard?
Most of the rest of the world, no.
No, it doesn't. Right?
No.
Believe it or not, my grandfather got circumcised at like 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
Him and his brother. I don't know. They were Italian straight off the boat.
Yeah.
And came over here as kids, and for some reason they both got it at like around 40, like late 40s, early 50s. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you?
No.
Thank you. I'm totally good with that.
Yeah.
So I should actually ask him what's the difference because he had it,
Yeah, he knows the difference for sure.
Yeah.
He definitely knows the difference.
Yeah, I gotta talk to him. It'd be a weird conversation, but
so he's still alive, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I'd definitely talk to him. So Grandpa, let me ask you a question.
Yeah. He's funny though. He likes his wine. I remember the first time I got drunk with him, he opened up another bottle. We drank like 4 bottles of wine that night. He was going, oh yeah, it was cool. Drinking with your grandfather. He's going to go to bed, went to take off his pants, rolled off the bed. I was like, yo, Pop, you okay? He was all right. He tucked and rolled.
I would love to be able to drink with my grandfather, but they both died before. Like my dad's dad died when I was the year after I was born.
Oh wow.
And then my mom's dad died in 96, so never got the occasion to.
So you got a little time with him, but
I had a lot of time with him. He was awesome, but yeah, never got to drink with him though.
Right. And now your paternal grandfather died when you said 1?
Yeah.
What was that like? Do you look into your family history and see if it's like a medical thing you should be worried about? Was he
no, it was suicide.
Oh my gosh.
My alcoholic grandmother drove him to suicide.
There you go.
Yeah.
My alcoholic grandmother almost drove me to suicide, so I know that feeling. Wow, so that's serious, my man. When did you now what age were you when you found out that was how grandpa went? Because I'm sure
I was probably a teenager. My dad never talked about it. Mom didn't bring it up. My dad didn't talk about it because obviously it was his father. It's very traumatic for him. But then his uncle, his dad's brother, blamed him for it.
Wow.
And so he had every year around the anniversary of my grandfather's death, my dad would get weird. Like when I say weird, like, I don't know if it's depressed, but his mood would change. But yeah, I mean, you imagine that, like your grandpa or your father commits suicide, and then the uncle's calling you and going, you're a fucking fault. Like, what? How
No
dare
fucking
you let this happen?
way, dude. That's
And it's like
crazy.
his mom was a freaking brutal
Right.
alcoholic and just mean as hell. So if we go to her house every year for Christmas.
Yeah.
So you didn't know if you were going into combat or like a
Oh,
delightful old lady.
oh wow.
Any extreme in between there could be. So it was
Yeah.
always interesting going to the Gracey house for Christmas, Grandma
Oh,
Gracey's.
sure. It sounds like my mother's side of the family because they I think I have like with my mother, she has like 5 brothers and sisters, and they were all young. My mother had me at like 17 years old. So I had some uncles who were like 12 when I was born. And like going over their house, at Christmas time, you didn't know what was going to happen, whether, because all young drinking, if it was going to turn into like chairs getting thrown across the room or
Yeah,
what was going to happen.
exactly. Yep. Same thing.
I know. Yeah, I know those types of households. But there also tend to be some of the most fun households when they are fun,
Exactly. Yes.
The shitty parts can be shitty, but the fun is fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
So wow, what a dick that I guess that's your uncle putting that on your
Great
father.
uncle. Yeah.
Great uncle putting it on your father, man. That's a lot to do and to blame. Did he have a good reason, or was it just like his thought process?
I think he's just looking for someone to blame. Like
Yeah.
couldn't have been, I don't know why I didn't blame my grandma. I'm not sure exactly, but
Probably because
don't
it's
know.
his whatever, his
There's like his son was supposed to protect him from it or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. The oldest son.
Wow.
My dad was the oldest son. So
Well, there's something. My brother and his girlfriend are actually doing this. We have to vote daily for it on Facebook, but it's for suicide prevention. So it's a cool thing. But people go on and they're musicians, and it's a cause they're going on for. So anybody out there listening, yeah, man, suicide is a real thing, and if you're struggling at all, reach out to people, man, because
absolutely.
life is short, and you got to think about the people that you're leaving behind. You know what I'm saying? Like you're out of it, so it's good. But the people that are left behind are the ones really dealing with the turmoil. So,
100%.
Reach out, people.
Always reach out. Somebody cares somewhere.
Exactly. What is your thoughts on like what was that, Dr. Kevorkian, who was like killing his patients because they were like, were at the end of their ropes. Like
Listen, I think you should have the right to take your own life if you choose to. Absolutely. Like, I mean, you put down a dog that can't walk anymore,
Right.
And not that humans are dogs, but like if you're in pain and if you're in like terminal fucking pain, you're gonna die anyway. Like, why not shorten that? Like, who wants to die and suffer in pain for months and years or whatever? It's like, yeah, if you're sound mind, you can make that decision. Sure.
I agree. And like it should be part of your living will where, if you're basically on life support, like or what, I think that already is a thing, right? Like if you're on life
it's called a DNR, do not resuscitate. So yeah, some people that means if you have a DNR, they won't put you on life support.
Right.
Right.
Which who wants to be on that anyway? That's no way to live. You're sitting there basically getting artificial air, and who knows where your mind is at that point,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like I always wonder, like people in comas, we should actually get somebody on here who's been in a coma and see like if they had any, registering going on during that time, because
so we're getting floating into the subject. So I mean, I told you what happened to me last weekend, right? With my business partner.
Yeah. Tell the audience.
And so we'll have to have him on when he's all healed up.
Do you want to give them a brief synopsis of what?
Yeah. So my business partner, George, and he's 67, and we were on a light hike in York County on this past Saturday. And he had some episodes where he said he felt dizzy. And I said, I'll go back and get the car and we can stop the hike now. And he's, no, I'm fine. And so eventually, the last time he said I'm dizzy, he grabbed a hold of me and he was collapsing. So I helped him down to the ground. It's clear, he was in distress.
Right.
and called 911 immediately. He was making very strange breathing noises, like, and his eyes were open, but he wasn't conscious, obviously.
Right.
And so I got 911 on the line, and I eventually had to start CPR. So I performed CPR for 10 to 15 minutes until EMS got there.
Now, Chad, was that something you knew how to do? Were they walking you through it? How did that go about?
Well, I've never taken an adult CPR class, but I took, baby CPR classes.
Sure.
It's different. It's obviously a much different way to do it than on a baby, but I had some idea of how to do it.
Yeah.
Seen it done, etc.
Good.
But to do it on a real human when it's like life-saving time was like intense.
And how was their response time with 911 from the time you called till the time they got there?
Took about 10, 15 minutes.
Beautiful.
To get from where they were into the park. This park where it's a county park called Rocky Ridge. You have to drive down this long road to get into it. It's all wooded. Thank God we were on a path that was like directly parallel to the main road.
Right.
Like about 10, 15 yards off the main road, which is, we could have been deeper into the park, into areas that are way off the road.
Way harder to get to, yeah.
So, so I did it 10, 15 minutes. The EMS shows up. They start chest compressions. They take over from me. I was, a little winded, obviously.
Probably in shock too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And so they take over, and then they got out the defibrillator. They shocked him once. No pulse yet, so they're still working on him. And then all of a sudden, one of the girl that had the bag on his face, with the air.
Yeah.
And the main girl who was working on him, she's like, "Ow!" And she slaps her face and like, "Ow!" And everyone around the scene starts going, "Ow!" So they're like, "Oh my God, we're getting stung by bees." So someone stepped on the yellow jacket's nest that was nearby.
Holy crap.
And now everybody, I didn't get stung. I was about 10, 15 feet back, just sitting on a rock. And everyone starts getting stung multiple times. And I was like, holy it was like out of a movie. It was freaking ridiculous. Yeah. So and everyone at once like got up and started almost running away from the patient.
Yeah.
So this cop's like, "Oh, we can't leave." This cop runs back and grabs him by his ankle and drags him down the trail.
Wow.
And so they get away from the bees, and everyone had been stung quite a few times.
So fuck bees.
Yeah. So they get him on a gurney, and then they hooked him up to the defibrillator again, and he had a pulse at this point.
Wow.
So they eventually had to call in another ambulance crew because some of the crew were reacting. Some of the firefighters and the ambulance crew were reacting. They're allergic to bee stings, so they had to call another crew. But he was awake at the scene. They got him awake.
Wow.
And they eventually got him in the hospital. Now he's in the hospital. He's going to have a nice, probably at least 2-week stay, as he has some pretty severe arterial stenosis, which basically is plaque, build up. Like both his carotid arteries are almost totally blocked.
Oh God.
So he was a walking time bomb for either a stroke or a massive heart attack and just to be dead. So he has to have open heart surgery soon. They're doing it to take care of the carotid arteries first. That's why he passed out, because he was having a heart attack, blood pressure went down. He only had 10%, basically 10% of blood flow to his brain for God knows how long.
Right.
So once his blood pressure went down, he was out.
So a couple thoughts on this. One, do you think maybe he got stung by bees and this kind of helped bring him back? Do you think that's a possibility? Like all of a sudden his body's like, what the fuck? And kind of
I don't think so. I mean, I guess there's some possibility of that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because they shocked him. They were doing CPR the whole time, and eventually got the pulse back. But maybe it shocked him back to life. Who knows? Yeah.
And then my other thought was like, it's almost like this happened at a perfect time, because one, you were there, and two, like you said, he had 10 to 15% blood flow to the brain and all that stuff. Like this could have happened at an impromptu time, and then could have had a totally different outcome.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it seems that they caught it at a good time, and shit could be fixed, and he can kind of get back to normal at some point.
Yeah, the nurse basically said it was actually good that you were there with him on that hike to bring it to a head, and while you were with him, because he was literally a massive heart attack or a massive stroke away from just dying in his sleep.
Wow. And
that could have happened within weeks, days.
Right. And he had no feelings of any of this before. Like he didn't feel like
he was. I've worked with him a long time, and he was getting more and more, not like, not in a not in a way that was detrimental to what he was doing, but he was getting more and more forgetful with like names and stuff. And he's a very, very intelligent guy.
right.
So he's getting more and more forgetful with names, and he would there would be occasionally, you know, an occasion where he would tell someone something and then forget that he told them that. And we're just like, George, you just told this dude that. Like, what are you talking about? You know, how do you say that? What are you talking about?
Wow.
And so I mean, yeah, obviously you get 10% blood flow to your brain, you got to be having effects, right?
Big time.
So I'm scared to see what happens when he has full blood flow to his brain coming back.
He's gonna come back like a Superman,
like freaking Einstein. Yeah. So anyway, so he has to get the carotids done first, and then he has open heart surgery coming up. So he's not out of the woods completely. He has some major shit happening, but he's going to be in the hospital for about 2 weeks. But yeah, he had short-term memory loss Saturday and Sunday. I went and visited him both days, and he's like, "What happened to me?" I was like, "We were on a hike." He's like, "You and I were hiking? Have we hiked before?" I was like, "Yeah, we've been on hikes."
Oh wow.
Okay. What year is it? It's 2023. Really? What am I doing here? You had a heart attack. Really? I had a heart attack? How? You were with me? And so we did this over and over again on Saturday, especially, but Sunday. And now today he remembers the hike and he's getting his memory back. But
well, that's good.
He actually had, or is having, or has had one of the surgeries today.
Okay.
Might be happening right now, but.
Got you. And this is a Pennsylvania hospital?
Yeah.
How are the hospitals over there? Are they like
he's in York Hospital. It's I mean, it's a great hospital. I think there's other hospitals that could be better. Just not in the care that they give, but basically how their system works.
Right.
I've spoken to a heart surgeon that was in Lancaster. It's very renowned heart surgeon there, and he's like, you know, York Hospital is pretty great, but like the way their system works is not completely efficient for the patients. But so anyway, I think he's in good hands. He's gonna get the best care.
Hands. Yeah. Well, you never know. So there's another public service announcement for people out there. If you're forgetting some things and stuff, like, go get checked out, because I'm sure this guy was not going to the doctors too often.
Yeah, his last full checkup was like 2 or 3 years ago. So, and he's 76 or 67. So it's like you need to get annual checkup for sure.
Oh, so 2 or 3 years ago, they checked, there was no blockage. This happened within that time frame.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my mom about this. I haven't talked to doctors about it, but she's like, yeah, unless you get like, they have scans that can scan your veins,
right?
But like generally, most insurance companies won't pay for the scan.
Ugh. That's
right.
Insane. Rather you have to get open heart surgery before. Wow.
And if they do pay for the scan, it's super expensive. So
yeah,
if your insurance doesn't cover it, sometimes insurance does not cover that, right? So you have this life-saving scan, but like they don't cover it.
Yeah, so
to prevent a massive heart attack and all the costs of that. Insurance companies don't make any sense, but
no, they don't. It's a strange thing. I mean, like somebody for me, I've had insurance my entire life and I barely use it, so they make a shit ton of money off of me. But then some people who live in the hospital, it's like, they're getting run through the ringer at that point.
Oh yeah.
What is your feeling on universal health care?
I think if there's a system that can be effective, it could be. I mean, it could be. Everyone should have healthcare. I'll put it that way. Everyone should have some kind of healthcare. Absolutely, right. It should be a right. But what you find in universal healthcare systems, like in Canada and UK, it's just you see all these reports where people are waiting in line for months and months and months for procedures. I don't know if that's true. It may be, just bullshit. Who knows?
Right.
But I mean, I believe that everyone should have healthcare of some kind, and the government should, provide it.
I agree.
Private insurance companies are in it for the money, like they're in it for profit, right?
For sure.
And so are privately run hospitals. I saw this, I forget his name. The guy, he did this whole report on how our hospital systems work.
Right.
And each hospital basically has their own book of costs for everything, and they inflate those costs accordingly.
Really?
Basically, however they feel they need to.
Right.
And then they give, based on their cost, say a Band-Aid costs $5
Yeah.
at the hospital. Well, then they give the insurance company a 50% discount. So it only costs $250 to the insurance company.
Right.
So they're getting a discount. The Band-Aid costs 25 cents in reality in the real market, right?
Right.
So this is basically how it works.
But that's a good way that you put it, because with using the Band-Aid as a scenario is that it's $5 if you go in without insurance, but it's $2.50 if you go in with insurance, and then it costs them 25 cents. Okay, maybe those numbers are a little different, but that's how it works. So whereas if you go in and paying out of pocket, they're charging you more than they would charge your insurance company for getting the same procedure, which is fucking weird.
Right.
And
they're all making tons of money on it, both sides,
Right.
you know. And so
Right.
you can see where the motivation is for profit, not for the best healthcare.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you that we should have it, but like you said, I hear stories that like in Canada and stuff like that, that people are coming over to America for some of the more crazy procedures like open.
Well, that's how they fund. I mean, so conversely, that's how all these great medical advancements in America are funded, unfortunately or unfortunately. So you have amazing procedures you can have done here and crazy stuff that can't get anywhere else. You also have stuff that they won't do in America that are beneficial that they can only do in other countries. Like I was just listening to Joe Rogan and talk about stem cells. Like stem cells here, you can get some stem cell procedures, but they're not as, I guess they're not as,
they don't want to use
current as they could be.
Right.
So you can go to other countries and get stem cell procedures that can cure your shoulder or your knee, or like totally fix it. Like, you know,
where you don't need an operation.
But there's certain limitations in America for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I mean,
well, so I know a little bit about that, and that is from George W. Bush. Because he's such a into religion and stuff like that. When he was first, I guess, heard about stem cells, it was like the umbilical cord stem cells and stuff like that. He was thinking like, that's not a good thing. But
oh yeah, I remember this now. You're bringing up a memory. But he put some kind of moratorium on it.
Exactly. He
for
kind of
religious reasons, basically.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That just drives me nuts, that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, my ex and I, we stored our kids' umbilical cord blood.
Oh, cool.
So it's in storage. So she would benefit the most from with cancer or other things if she got anything, but she would benefit the most. I would benefit secondarily, and the kids would benefit obviously from it too. So in the future, as they unlock more treatments, so we have our actual stem cells frozen.
Dude, that was very progressive thinking on both of your parts to do that. That's really smart.
Yeah, I'll give credit to her. She found out all about that stuff and
nice
made it happen.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I mean, because what are you, like 13 is one of your oldest, so I mean that's a long
time. Back in 2009 she figured that out. Yeah, I get so anyway, back to the hospital. Like, that's the other thing about hospitals in America, that they can't turn you away. So they can't go, oh, you're having a heart attack out in the street, you don't have insurance. They can't do that, but you end up with a gigantic fucking bill that you can never pay, right? Yeah. So you have this then that shouldn't happen. That's ridiculous.
And I think like back in the day, they were not able to come after you, like as far as like putting that medical debt on your credit report and all that stuff. But now they can. Now now that could go on your credit report.
Yep, they changed the laws of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the worse, by the way.
And Obamacare just made it all worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, how could you? Okay, so
that made insurance rates go skyrocket.
Right
after that.
And how are you going to, for a struggling family who can't afford insurance, how are you then going to like charge them a fine for not getting the Obamacare? Like that is a crazy part of
That's
it.
crazy. And it did do one thing, you know, well, maybe two things where you can't be denied coverage, and you cannot be denied coverage because of you know, your any past medical issues.
That's good.
That's good. You shouldn't be denied because of that, but yeah, I mean, there's great parts of our medical system, there's shitty parts of our medical system, and universal medicine, you know, there's benefits to that and problems with that. So it's got to find something where some kind of medical system where, you know, I mean, like for instance, Congress has great medical coverage.
Right.
Go figure.
Right. Well, not for nothing, but that's
provided by the government.
Yeah, that 24 billion we just gave to the Ukraine, I'm sure that could have went a long way to dumping into the American healthcare system. My thought.
Yeah.
But I'm dumb. I don't know.
Yeah, I put up a meme the other day and someone wrote me on DMs like, you just want Russia to overrun Ukraine? It's like, I mean, you know, what materially would change?
Right. It was part of the USSR at one point.
What geographically, politically, what would change if Ukraine didn't exist? I mean, I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying, you know, what actually would change if Putin took over Ukraine?
Right. And what would
I mean,
change?
I don't like Putin. I think he's a piece of shit, but like, you know, what would fundamentally change? What is it worth $100 billion of the US dollars to stop that from happening?
That's the better question. Like, forget what would change.
And for all these deaths to be, you know, can continue.
Right. The better question is what would be the difference if we didn't get involved and just let them take care of themselves? Like, nobody's coming over here once Russia invades us and giving us money. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's like, oh, we're gonna, you know, that's
I guess the one thing we found out is that Russia, there ain't no way they're coming over here and invade us.
No, they can barely invade their next door neighbor. Yeah.
So I think I talked about this before, but I listened to this geopolitical strategist named Peter Zeihan. And I mean, his contention is that Russia was always going to invade Ukraine geographically because they hold a geographic, basically they are a geographic weak point to invade Russia. That's where the Germans basically invaded Russia, and then the French and Napoleon invaded Russia through Ukraine.
Right, yeah.
So they want to control that land up to basically the border of what Poland and was it Hungary that borders Russia there?
I believe so.
Moldova, whatever. That's a geographic strong point to that border basically of Ukraine.
And not for nothing, I kind of see his point of view on that. Like, if there were, you know, if there was like if Mexico or Canada was like, you know, had Russian missiles and stuff over there, like, yeah, we probably wouldn't like that and wouldn't want that. So
I mean, the U.S. policy did nothing to prevent this. I mean, you know, Putin forever was saying the red line is that, you know, you expand NATO, and what we do, we continue to threaten to make Ukraine part of NATO. He wasn't going to have that.
Right.
Now they just put Finland. Is it Finland? They just made part of NATO. That was historically not. Poland is obviously part of NATO. It's like Putin was giving warnings and warnings and warnings for decades about expanding NATO.
Surrounded by NATO. I mean,
basically, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be freaky on his
whole western flank. Yeah, absolutely.
And he said something funny. He goes, you know, I've been through like 8 U.S. presidents. He's like, they all come in with these great ideas, and then the first day of office, they get told what's actually going to happen. Like,
yeah, I think he said 3, but yes, exactly.
Well, yeah. Is it only 3? Yeah, maybe.
I believe that. Yeah, I just heard someone say that quote a couple times, and they were saying 3, but maybe it's more. I don't know. But he's been through quite a few presidents for sure.
Right. Putin. And he's supposedly a democratic society, but it seems like anybody who runs against him doesn't fare well.
It's the Democratic Republic of North Korea too. So yeah,
that's true. And didn't they believe that it was a Kim Jong-un, or was it his father, Kim Jong-il, who they said like didn't like shit or piss, like they thought he didn't have bowel movements? Like,
oh God,
they're that brainwashed.
The people believe in it. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
they're told to believe anything that's told about the great ruler.
Well, yeah. And they have to rat on each other. So say like you and your family, like your kids would rat on you if you said something against the government because they think that you would be ratting on them. Like the whole country is like,
oh yeah, that's how the Soviet Union was too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what started happening in COVID. Oh, they're not wearing their masks. They're not social distancing.
Right.
Like, hey.
Right. It became okay to like start yelling at people for not wearing their mask and not being so. It was a
Or
strange.
reporting them, calling the police on he's not wearing a mask.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. So he said something bad about Biden. Get the police in here.
Exactly. They're gathering a little late, and I think they're talking about Republicans over there.
Right.
Shut them down.
You see how it slips into a friggin' totalitarian, friggin'
and it's
communist rule.
Slope. It's that quick of a slope, right? I mean, it starts here, and then all of a sudden, and before you know it, you gave away all your freedoms, and we're no better than
for safety. Yeah.
Right. For safety.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's end it on that fuzzy note because we do want to keep you guys coming back for more. It won't be political all the time. This was
definitely not.
We're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff, bunch of cool stuff, entertainment wise, music wise. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff. We're going to have, like I said, live call-ins where you guys direct what you want to speak about. If you have questions for myself, Chad, anything, you know, it's just a fun show for us to shoot the shit. I think I said putting the shit in bullshit. That's
right.
It's the Gracious
tagline.
Yes, sir.
The Gracious 2.
Tell them where they can catch you on your personal, you know, like social, so they can check you out.
Instagram, the Chad Gracey, and that's pretty easy.
And that's pretty much where you update the most.
Yeah, that's where I update the most. Yeah, I have Facebook. I keep that more kind of personal. So
yeah, I started because I was getting way too many requests on my personal Facebook that I started a separate one for like, you know, everybody else like fans or shit to request on. But man, I had a good time with you. I know it was a little there, but it'll be, like I said, we'll be talking about a bunch of different stuff. We'll have some bits, some gags, bringing up videos, commenting on them. It's going to get fun. This was show one of many.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had a blasty blast, to be honest.
Absolutely. Thanks, bud. And thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. Let me end this real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, peace out.